to another episode of What Are You Writing? What Are You Reading? Actually, it's the other way around. What are you reading? What are you writing? Because we're going to start with book recommendations. We're so glad that you're with us today. I hope you've been enjoying the series. I have. I've met so many cool people and been introduced to so many great books. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me what you think. I am Karen E. Osborne. I am author of Getting It Right, and my upcoming murder mystery women's fiction is called Tangled Lies, and it comes out on July 22nd. And I am so pleased to introduce you to our guest today. His name is Alastair Luft. And this is a new genre for us that we're going to talk about today. Let me just tell you a little bit about him, and then he's going to tell you all about him. So he has written 3 novels, which just saying that is impressive. I got to tell you, writing a novel is not easy. And he's written 3 that are published. His first one, Battle Within, came out in 2017. His second one, Jihad Bride, came out in 2019. And his latest one, which he's going to tell us about, is called One Kingdom Under God. And it comes out on June 17th. Welcome, Alastair.
Hi, Karen. Yeah, thank you for having me on. Thank you for that wonderful intro. It's great to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. So before we talk all about your writing, which I know everybody wants to hear about, maybe we could start with you sharing a book that you have read that you love and would like to recommend to our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So my reading really, I think, tends to be for my work in progress that I'm doing. And right now, I guess the project I'm working on is more of a drama set in small town Canada. So I'm reading a lot of different Canadian fiction, and one of the ones I would recommend is a book called The Erratics by Vicki Laveau-Harvie. This is a memoir, although I have to be honest, I didn't actually pick up it was a memoir the first time I read it because of the the way that the narrative is so fiction like. It's very creative in terms of the narrative. So I didn't pick up that it was memoir, but to me that actually makes it even better. So this story is about the author and her sister. They find out that their mom has gone into hospital. So both of them go back to their hometown to take care of their father. And then in the process, what they discover is that their mom, who they've been estranged from, is basically putting their father through this mental torment. Like she's really putting him through this mental and emotional abuse almost. So the story is they've gone back to take care of their father, and then it turns into how can they keep their mom in hospital so that they can free their dad from this terrible situation that he's in. And it's very wasn't what I expected. And the narrative of it is it's a pretty compelling story, and it's again it doesn't read like a memoir. It reads like fiction.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Just remind us one more time of the name of it.
Sure, yeah, it's called The Erratics,
The
and
Erratic.
the author is Vicki Laveau-Harvie.
Excellent. And did you have another one?
Yeah. So the other one that I had is it's called Best Laid Plans by Terry Fallis. I don't have a copy of it. I borrowed that one from the library,
Mhm.
but it's the same theme in terms of a different part of sort of a Canadian story. But this one is more it's political satire, and I think what interested me about it is right. I mean, right now I find it difficult to find a story in politics that it doesn't kind of leave me frustrated, to a certain extent, or anxious. And so, it was just a great story that pokes fun at the entire sort of political establishment. And so this story is about the main character is a speechwriter in one of the political parties. He basically gets burnt out and has had enough, so he asks to take a bit of a break. He's going to take a job at a university. So he makes this bargain with the political party, and they said, "Yeah, okay, that's good, but in return, what we'd like for you to do is find us a candidate in a riding." So he agrees, and then it turns out this riding is very difficult. It's been held by the opposition party for forever. So it turns into this: he finds a candidate who agrees, but he has no pretensions or no consideration that he's going to win. He just runs to to put his name on the ballot, and he's basically extorting the author to do something for him. And he's very unconventional. He decides not to have any interviews or use his name, and even leaves during the election campaign. And then he ends up winning because of a scandal with his opponent. So I mean, it's good. I enjoyed that story because it's poking fun at the entire political establishment. It's a good laugh.
Yeah, that
I like
sounds fun. Tell us again the name of it and the author.
It's called Best Laid Plans, and the author's name is Terry Fallis. I like the story behind the story as well. So the author there, he finished his novel and he was trying to publish it and wasn't getting picked up. So he released it chapter by chapter on a podcast and built up some interest. Then he self-published, and then the momentum basically kept building. And he ended up winning a National Book Writing Award for humor. It got picked up. It was in Canada Reads, which is a national book reading competition. He won that, and he kicked off basically this wonderful career for this author based off very unconventional way to promote the book. So
Yeah,
I like that story just as much as the story itself.
I like that too. A chapter by chapter on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very cool and good for him. Good for him. So let's turn to you and your writing journey. Did you want to write it from age 2? Did it come later in your life? Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, so I read a lot as a kid growing up, but when I joined the military, and I didn't realize this until just a few years ago, I joined the military and I kind of stopped reading fiction. It was just so much other stuff going on.
Mm.
And then I'd say maybe like 7 or 8 years ago, I was at what turned out to be a bit of a crossroads for me. There was a lot going on at work, and we had just had our second daughter. And I was supposed to go into some, sort of jobs with more responsibility. And it seemed like it was a nice opportunity to take a break. My boss was recommending I take a bit of parental leave after
Mhm.
our daughter was born. So I did that. And my wife and I came up with this schedule where we're both introverts. So we kind of recharge by being on our own. So we came up with a schedule where one of us would take the kids and let the other person have some downtime. And my wife had told me, before this started, she had realized that I was a bit frustrated at work, and she said, you need to figure yourself out and kind of figure out what's going on. And so what I found, like, on this time that I had, was that I didn't really have any hobbies or anything. I mean, I exercised and worked out, but it's not a real hobby. So I took an online writing course at a local community college, and through that, I wrote a short story and really enjoyed it. And then one thing just kind of led to another. By the time that had finished, it was National Novel Writing Month.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I just decided to take the challenge. I'm glad I didn't know what I was getting into. I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have done it. But yeah, by the end of that, I had my first, I had a very terrible first draft of my first novel. And then it was just a question, where do I go from here? And there was a series of those kind of turning points, or those decision points, where it was like, well, do I just sort of stop and move on, or do I see what the next thing is? So I just kept going with that. When I had the draft of the first draft, I decided to edit it and see where I could take it. Did a few more courses, and then basically when I had got as far as I could, then I didn't know anything about publishing. And again, maybe it's best I didn't know at that time, or I might have given up before I tried. So I tried to get a publication deal, and through a really long process, I did end up getting one. And then while I was doing the development process for the book, I started writing my second one, Jihadi Bride, and then just one thing just kind of kept going. I think the big thing I found through participating in National Novel Writing Month, though, was just that, like, I loved telling stories, which I would never have thought that would have been the case. But I could sit in front of my computer and just explore and develop a story. That really is what I get enjoyment out of. Obviously, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna, I don't know that all of our audience knows what National Novel Writing Month
Oh,
is.
yeah, okay.
It's quite a challenge. You have to write 50,000 words in 30 days during the month of November. I failed at it twice. My grandson challenged me and said, "Come on, I'm going to do it, and you need to do it." And then he'd write me like a week, and he'd say, "You're behind. You're behind. You'll never catch up if you don't."
Yeah.
But he, at the age of 11, did 50,000 words for his first
Right.
novel. And at the age
Yeah.
of 12, he did 50,000 for his second novel.
That's
So
outstanding.
it does get you excited about,
Yeah.
reminding you that you can write and making yourself take time
Yeah.
to
I,
write.
I find too that sometimes I can fall into the trap of, struggling with an exact word. So, I could spend an hour and get a sentence done because I'm like, I don't like this word, but you don't have time to do that with national novel. Like to hit your word count, you got to go. But then when you have something like it's bad, I think
Yeah.
everyone's stuff is bad, but then you can edit it and take it from there. That's what I really love about it. At least it gives you something, and then you can go from there.
Go from there. That sounds great. So tell us all about your latest book that's coming out in June.
Yeah. So my latest book is One Kingdom Under Heaven, and it's
Nice.
published through Black Rose Writing. Yeah, this is a great. I love the cover that Black Rose came up with for this.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it. So this is a literary thriller, and yeah, literary. I almost hesitate to use literary a little bit just because I think people have some expectations about the language that will be in it, and that the action may not be there. But I think in this case, it's a combination of both. So this is set in the year 2029, near future, and the backdrop of the story is that China has attacked the United States, fairly devastating attack. And so what happens is the main character, whose name is Malcolm Kwong, he loses his family in this attack, and he is a retired Navy SEAL, and he decides to take it as a personal mission to get revenge by putting together a team of people that he knows from his previous life in the military, and infiltrating China on this mission to assassinate the president of China. So he infiltrates this team through the western part of the country into what's called the Taklamakan Desert, and that's often called the Desert of Death. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Taklamakan means you can get in, but you can't get out. And so he enters this desert in search of this exiled Uyghur terrorist or freedom fighter, depending on your point of view. And why he's searching for this man, whose name is Ismail Koha, is because Koha led an assassination attempt on the president 5 years before and almost succeeded. So Kwong wants to recruit this guy to his cause and help him complete his mission. And so that's really the main setting of the story.
Yeah. And am I remembering correctly that it takes place in the future?
Yeah, it's set in 2029. Yep.
29. Yeah. So the book's going to do so well
I hope so. Yeah.
that when 2029 comes, it's no longer going to be a future book because people will still be buying it.
Yeah. I mean, that would be great. That would be great.
It sounds really wonderful. And I really thank you so much for taking time to share your recommendations, to share your writing journey, and to share your upcoming book, which I hope all of you will purchase and read and let us know that you have done that. That would be good. We love reviews. We authors love reviews. So if you read it, any of Alastairs' books, please do write a review because it really makes a difference to our writing life. And I wanted to just remind you that you can, if you have questions for either one of us, you can find Alastair at alastairluft.com.
Yep.
And why don't you spell it?
Yeah, so that's spelled ALASTAIRLUFT.
And you can find me at KarenEosborne.com. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time for another episode of What Are You Reading? What Are You Writing?